CPS comes to take your kids. They're generally 400, 500-pound former welfare recipients who can hardly talk, but they're going to take your crying kid and put them on Prozac when they cry for you at age 4. They're going to commit their crimes against us over and over again. Coming up after I take a few calls, we've got former Senator John DeCamp who exposed, and I'm sort of thinking about this, and I remembered it, and sure enough, there was an article about it. He had exposed stuff at Penn State 15, 16, 17 years ago. He's coming up. Unbelievable, and how high it really goes. I want to play a clip, though, of Romney. I mentioned this. Imagine, Romney's talking to the NAACP, and he says, we're going to get rid of Obamacare. They're like, no, boo, boo. You know, they turn Americans away all day long. But if you're an illegal alien, they don't turn you away. But you're not supposed to turn citizens away. No one can be turned away from health care or from drugs. It's called charity care. Most of these hospitals are charity. They're supposed to have half their business be charity. A regular doctor's supposed to be 30%. But now under Obamacare, they're getting rid of the charity care. And it doesn't cover pre-existing conditions. And it's written by the insurance companies, but they don't care. Because, you know, Obama, he sits up there with a fake, urban black accent and reads off a teleprompter. And you know what? People feel like they're winning. Just like Republicans feel like they're going to win with Mitt Romney. Because he's a Republican. Here it is.
And so to do that, I'm going to eliminate every non-essential, expensive program I can find. That includes Obamacare. And I'm going to work to reform and save.
All right, that's enough. And you notice he was pleased by the boo. Because even though he plans to continue everything Obama's doing, because that's the globalist game plan, the rhetoric, though, at least he now can get some popularity amongst conservatives. And his popularity is going up now. They're like, well, he did write Obamacare. He is for open borders, carbon taxes, and assault weapon bans. But he's talking the right talk now. But no, he won't tell you about, if he would have said, listen, these mega banks and big foreign corporations, they've gotten trillions. We're going to cut that. And we're going to give that back to you in tax breaks and get... He might have gotten a cheer, but instead he just put it out kind of as that mainline Republican to get the boo. Okay, I haven't even gotten into a lot of the news yet, and we will, including Arpaio's investigation finding that the birth certificate has been tampered. That's like saying, we've discovered that bears go to the bathroom in the woods. Everybody's like, oh, that's a ridiculous conspiracy theory. Yes, and that birds fly. We have discovered that water is wet. Ladies and gentlemen, they first said that I'm going to get into it later. It's just, remember for 3 years they said that other birth certificate was the only one. There was no long form. Then we get the long form, and it was a computer font that's supposed to look like typewriter. The C's, the T's, the A's, they're all identical. That doesn't happen with a typewriter, folks. Each one is it's just, I looked at it in 2 hours, went online. We put a video out that got 1 million views showing it's fake. Of course it's fake. Do I need 20 forensics people to tell me that? What do you think forensics people look at, ladies and gentlemen? They call him an African in there. They didn't start calling him that until the 1980s on record. And that's what Arpaio shows, is the sheet they used. No one ever used the word that they were an African American. Man, I tell you, folks, I tell you. But again, it was lies within lies. We're like, hey, you say you were born in Kenya for 16 and a half years in your own literature, your own publicist. Your wife says it in speeches, you're born in Kenya. That was the old cover story. He was really born in Hawaii to Frank Marshall Davis. But we're like, hey, you say you were born there. I know your dad doesn't look like you over there, but whatever. And now we know he's Frank Marshall Davis's son, Mike. And now he gives speeches like Frank Marshall Davis's. You dirty small businesses, you filth. You bitter clingers, we're going to get you. You sure cling to your hundreds of Secret Service that guard you. They had thousands of different police and Secret Service out. Your house was getting robbed yesterday in Austin. Sorry, everybody had to sycophantically run around behind Obama. What a nobody. But it's meant for all the sheep to think he's a somebody. Bush, Obama, they're all just thumb-sucking puppets of the bankers. Makes me want to throw up. talking to evil entrepreneurs, James, Brent, Steve, Aaron, Doris, James in California. James, are you an evil entrepreneur? I mean, do you want to apologize to America for hiring people?
Absolutely not. That's what we're founded on. I'm so frustrated at this. It hurts me every day. Again, the anger and frustration.
You're bad. No, you're bad. Government is good. Admit you're wrong. Admit North Korea is great.
Hey, back in 2008, I was making $60,000 a year, and the company I was working for went under, and I didn't file for unemployment, and I haven't filed for it from it since then, and I started my own business. You're a bad person. I've not taken the money. I specifically don't. I could have taken, $60,000, $40,000 a year for a year and a half, and I didn't take that. Instead, I've had to pay more taxes and get no benefit. I get no credit for not taking the 40 grand, and instead what I get is I have to pay more taxes for the $15,000 that I make because I'm now an entrepreneur in a small business. It's so immoral, so unjust. But thank you for your life and your fortune and your sacred honor.
I'm going to admit I'm bad for now having over 40 people that work here. We're about to go up to 50, spending every backup dime we've got to go to the next level. I want to apologize for hiring people right out of college and hiring people that have been let go from TV stations because of cutbacks and radio stations. I want to apologize for hiring graphics people. I want to apologize for not being on welfare and not living in a slum and watching daytime TV all day and going out and mugging people on my off time. I want to apologize right now.
A righteous man. In 2000, I had carpal tunnel and could be on permanent disability since then. So, absolutely, anyone, if you can get off of disability, if you can just
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? You're going to be happier watching daytime TV all day if you're handicapped or whatever. Don't go out and get a job and get past your handicap. Let the country go bankrupt for Soviet re-education. We're almost there. We're almost a total state. We're going to be like North Korea soon. All of you in uniform will be more powerful. It's going to be great. Just like North Korea. It's almost here.
This Alex Jones.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Senator John DeCamp has had an emergency today, so he's unable to do the full hour. He's on the road right now, stopped. Only be with us about 20 minutes. And then I'm going to get him back for a full hour next Tuesday before he goes in for surgery. This could not be a more important interview you're about to hear. He is the best-selling author of The Franklin Cover-Up. He's also proven this in court. One time news media said he was a liar. He sued him and won. Child abuse, Satanism, and the murder in Nebraska. During 16 years in office, a former state senator, John DeCamp, was cited even by his enemies at the World Herald as one of the most effective legislators in Nebraska history. A highly decorated Vietnam War veteran, in 1975, he initiated Operation Baby Lift, which evacuated 2,800 orphan Vietnamese children. He is currently a practicing attorney in Lincoln, Nebraska. He served as a lawyer for the Militia of Montana, a constitutional militia group in the 90s. DeCamp has also been lead perspective on Conspiracy of Silence, an unaired documentary on the Franklin child abuse. Well, we aired it. We got it and aired it locally on Access 15 years ago, and it since went viral online. That's where that people always say, have you seen this? Yeah, I've seen it. I'm the one that put it out. He joins us now, and here's the Red Dirt Report. And when I saw this weekend, it punched me. I was like, I remember him saying that, but since it hadn't been in court in the news, I'm like, let's not go there, Senator. But I remember him getting into Boys Town before that all came out, the Catholic Church. I remember him getting into Penn State. And I remember him saying on air more than 10 years ago that the football program, and I'm like, and I know he's credible, but I'm like, okay, Senator, let's just stop. Folks, by the way, have dug those interviews up now. I'm like, let's just stop right there and just get into what was proven in court. Because people went to jail in Nebraska. He was hired as a big Republican because, to go in and disprove it. They're like, oh, this couldn't be true, Senator. You go disprove it. When his investigator, a police officer, and his son got murdered, the senator started to look closer. So he's going to recap all that. So he was hired as a prominent Republican and a senator to go in there as damage control because, he didn't believe it was real and found out it was all real and more. And this goes directly to the pedophile networks who are Satanist. And, of course, you've seen it come out in the local Penn State news that it's a state secret, Sandusky, that he was pimping the kids out. Of course, ladies and gentlemen. He joins us now. Senator John DeCamp to recap the history. Bohemian Grove's going on right now. His connections led into there as well. Dead bodies dumped outside the Bohemian Grove. Senator DeCamp, thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you for letting me come on. It's been a long time since we've talked, and so many strange things have happened in that distance of time. You mentioned Pennsylvania State. I had in my own mind completely forgotten about that, but then I started checking because I started getting calls about 6 months ago from just gobs of people over in Pennsylvania, and they said, well, you told us about this 10 or 15 years ago, blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, maybe. They said, yeah, it was even in your book. You said something about it. And I said, well, I got to be honest with you, I don't remember. And then I started doing some checking, and I guess I was even on your program way back when and brought up Penn State and everything. But because I had been sued in 3 different states on the Franklin thing, and by the way, the last one of those just ended about a year and a half ago in Ogden, Utah. The former police chief, one of the key principals I named, he had sued me because he had lost his police job as head of the police force there after he got thrown out of Nebraska when I exposed him. And so he sued me, and we had a full-scale trial, this last trial, in Ogden, Utah, Mormon Central. And it was amazing. I brought in people from way back then and ended up winning, and then he took it to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court dismissed it and said, I was right.
Well,
anyway,
so you've won, just to be clear, 3 different lawsuits.
Yep.
Man.
3 different states going up to their Supreme Court on the issue of Franklin and things I said.
Well,
there.
let me ask you this.
I won $1 million judgment, even though we haven't been able to collect it, against one of the key principals named Larry King, not the Larry King that's famous on the radio now, or has been.
TV. Not Larry King of CNN. Yeah.
Anyway, and won $1 million judgment in a full-scale trial, had witnesses, for example, Johnny Gosh's mother, first time she'd ever been in court and testified, and that I had located for her, which I did. Her son Johnny, who had been kidnapped, it was that ring of people that kidnapped kids and used them for sex and so on and so forth. And just one thing after another. And then these latest calls from Pennsylvania people saying I had brought it up way back then. I guess it rocked and shocked me. I'm 71 years old now, turned 71 here in the last month. And about 6-8 months ago, I noticed that so many things I used to remember, I couldn't remember anymore. So I'm taking some special medicine for that supposedly helps you. But I started looking things up and talking to some of the people, and then I got a call from you, and you said that I'd brought it up on the program years and years ago and went into depth. And I did start kind of halfway remember, and then one of the things I did was I even used the names back then of some of them, including the football team, certain people there that are now involved. But
I understand. You were told all this close to 20 years ago. You covered it in the last 15. The whole issue is, from your deep research and people contacting you and convictions and things that happened, we had the Texas Youth Commission that nobody knows about outside Texas, where at almost all their major facilities with the youth, they were raping them, selling them for sex, gladiatorial fights, and the Texas Rangers, they tried to stop